The three Democratic Party allies have demanded the start of the voting process on October 13th. The request was not signed by DP leader Luzin Basha, who said each force decides whether or not to participate in the elections. President Ilir Meta has rejected the investigative commission's request to respond to allegations of non-decreeing the June 30th elections, while also claiming that the commission is illegitimate and needs intervention. Valdrin Pietri, the mayor of Shkodër, who emerged from the June 30th vote, was arrested in Italy in 2001 and 2002, the DP now urging the prosecution to launch a new investigation. It's 6 o'clock on Friday, the 2nd of August, 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to rtvOra's English edition. My name is Oliver, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Making headlines tonight, the battle for October 13th continues. The Central Election Commission's chairperson, Clemence Guri, called for a meeting with the CEC at 10 a.m. on Saturday to consider the request of the Democratic Party allies. The Socialist Movement for Integration, the Environmentalist Agrarian Party, and the Republican Party addressed a letter today to the Central Election Commission, urging them to begin preparations for the October 13th election. However, rtvOra has learned that the Socialist Party members will not be present at this meeting. In their letter, the parties argue that they do not recognize June 30th as the date of local elections. They say they recognize the president's decree and demand that procedures be instituted. Meanwhile, sources from the Democratic Party confirmed that the position of the opposition leader during his meeting with allies is that of the Central Election Commission and has an inevitable obligation to prepare the October 13th elections. rtvOra learns that Basha has said that state and party are two different things. There is a fundamental difference between constitutional rights and party rights. According to Basha, the only constitutional act in relation to the election is the president's decree for the October 13th election. It is an indispensable and indisputable obligation of the CEC and other state institutions to prepare the infrastructure for these elections. The political parties then have the right to participate or not in these elections, stated DP leader Luzin Basha. Next up tonight, President Ilir Meta responded negatively to the Assembly's call to attend a hearing at the Investigative Commission set up at the request of the majority for the dismissal of the head of state. In a letter directed to the Speaker of the Assembly, Gramos Rucci, the president calls it an illegitimate commission, and according to Meta, it supported the implementation of an unconstitutional voting process on June 30th. This entire process, initiated by Parliament, is fictitious, illegitimate, wrong, and furthermore, it is without any concrete objectivity regarding its activity. The President of the Republic is convinced that the final interpretation of the constitutional provisions or the role of the President in times of severe political crises related to the electoral process, just as our country has been undergoing for a long time, cannot ever be accomplished through an investigative commission put forward by Parliament, but only by the Constitutional Court of the Republic of Albania, which for almost a year and a half has not been functional, said Meta. In describing Rucci as an experienced politician, the president seeks help from the Speaker of Parliament to persuade Prime Minister Edi Rama to return to a dialogue with the Democratic Party. You know like no other how opposed to the cancellation of the MP mandates the President of the Republic has been and still is. An unjustified action by the opposition that has really set a very negative precedent. I do not hesitate to ask you to help the Prime Minister, who is also the head of the Socialist Party, not to set the most absurd precedent in the history of the former communist countries that pertaining to the dismantlement of the Democratic Party, not only as the main opposition force today, but also as the first pro-Atlantic and pro-European opposition force of our country. Understanding also the position you are in due to the very high duty you represent and the situation that is not so good and representative in which the most important institution of the country finds itself in today due to the responsibility of all the political actors in the country, I continue to hope that with your experience, especially in the parliamentary life, you will make the best effort to restore the political dialogue and return all the democratic institutions back to normality, stated President Meta to Parliamentary Speaker Gramos Rucci. The president adheres to the head of government regarding the lack of a constitutional court by way of blocking the Justice Appointment Council for 2 years. Meta informed Rucci that in order to solve the situation, judgment from international institutions of justice is inevitable. This has been in continuation of the Prime Minister's attempt to remove constitutional control from the government and Parliament, but also to guarantee control over the Constitutional Court through the pressure of the vetting process, which is carried out through information provided by institutions controlled by the government and the current majority. Therefore, any act of haste for the short-term purpose of blackmail, seizure, or outrage will inevitably have the near possibility of an objective and independent international judgment. No one should forget that above the Constitutional Court, there are the European and international courts which have a decisive jurisdiction over our country, said Mehta. Also in the letter to the Assembly, President Mehta clarified that he decided to cancel the June 30th elections and has decreed October 13th as the official day of the local elections to guarantee unity of the people and give time for dialogue between political parties. Written at the end of the letter, the president believes that with this experience, Grammos Ruchi can return normality back to Parliament. Just 1 month after Valdrin Pietri received his mandate by the Central Election Commission to serve as mayor of the city of Shkodër, irregularities in his self-declaration of decriminalization have surfaced. Through a request to the General Prosecution Office signed by General Secretary Gazman Bardi, the Democratic Party demands a prompt verification of Pietri's background, whom was registered as a Socialist Party candidate for the municipality of Shkodër. The Democratic Party suggests that there are indications and public evidence against Pietri proving that he is prohibited from exercising his public function, according to the terms outlined in the law on decriminalization. In the years spanning from 2001 to 2002, Valdrin Pietri has been arrested in Italy and was subsequently deported by the responsible Italian authorities. From the verification of the TIMS system, it indicates that from the year 2002 all the way to March 23, 2010, he has not traveled in any single case to Italy, which supports the accuracy of the data previously made public. According to the Democratic Party, if these public records are verified without delay by the prosecution, it means that Pietri cannot receive the post of mayor of Shkodër as a result of invalid June 30th elections. The Embassy of the United States, the European Union, the OSCE, and the European Council of Europe in Tirana has also been informed on the Democratic Party's request to the prosecution. Miranda Riera, the former mayor of Preñas, is the first in the socialist movement for integration to oppose the removal of office for Nouri Belba, elected by the Socialist Party in the June 30th voting process. On Friday morning, while the new mayor of Preñas, Nouri Belba, was expected to enter into office, former Mayor Miranda Riera decided not to leave by stating that the June 30th elections are null and void and she will be prepared for the October 13th elections in line with the president's decree. It is not a positive thing that we are taking steps backwards. The June 30th elections were just for one party and conducted without the president's decree, and as such are null and void. We look forward to the October 13th elections. We are preparing and doing our best for the local elections to take place after the summer holiday, said Riera. Given the situation, the Preñas Municipal Council was constituted on the premises of the 9-year school, Chubra Sokoli. From there, Nouri Belba was sworn in as the new mayor of the municipality. Shortly after, Gledina Latia was sworn in as the mayor of Elbasan, taking over the role of Chazmin Sedini, who has been in charge of the institution for 12 years. Meanwhile, in Kukës and Mat, both right-wing municipalities, the new mayors, Safet Gjici for Kukës and Agron Malai for Mat, were also sworn in. However, the Democratic Party supporters and former MPs Enkled Alibea and Bahri Cholaku described the swearing-in as a pseudo-event. Meanwhile, in Durrës, after 12 years, Vanjush Dako has been released from the Durrës municipality, handing it over to the new mayor, Valbona Sako. And finally tonight, students of public and private universities are offered 120 to 170,000 lek for their bachelor theses work, while the master's degree reportedly costs up to 200,000 lek. Selling and buying diploma topics is a widespread phenomenon, and there are certain sites and groups created on social networks that serve to get in touch with the people who provide these paid services. One student was directed to one of these pages by one of the sellers working on a thesis topic through Instagram. Through this correspondence, he was told the price for the diploma thesis, which guarantees quality in the work, Such activity is not prohibited by law, but it is determined that a degree must be earned through personal work. In many cases, evaluation committees have found, while defending the topic, several such cases penalizing the student who submitted the paper, while university penalties for plagiarism can include the student's expulsion from the faculty. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you so much for watching our English edition this evening. And be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of RTV Ora, thank you and have a good night.